Mr. Garcia.
Mayor Dunn, last night President Bush announced a $3.6 billion package for aid to cities in the United States. The main part of this package would reach these cities through urban enterprise zones. In Elizabeth, many of the minority-owned businesses, and specifically those businesses on Elizabeth Avenue, are not geographically included within the urban enterprise zone area. Many of the merchants in these excluded areas claim they are victims of unfair business practices placed upon them by the urban enterprise zonification. If re-elected mayor of Elizabeth, what would you do in this matter?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that it's about time that President Bush recognized the needs of urban cities. Here in the state of New Jersey, we have always been given a back seat by the legislature, and despite the desperate needs for more money coming into the city of Elizabeth, especially for our public school purposes, for 13 years now, we've had money actually skimmed by higher authorities in the state of New Jersey from our public school system in the city of Elizabeth. An urban enterprise zone is a very invigorating thing for any city, and I truthfully have had no complaints of an urban enterprise zone discriminating against some business people in Elizabeth. I don't say this for a positive fact that there might not be, but I do know that all urban cities, all urban mayors are fighting to get urban enterprise zones for the purpose of being able to attract more business into what would become an otherwise blighted area. You'd get a break on your sales tax, and that's what the city of Elizabeth is striving to get now. We have meetings going on currently trying to get a reduction in the sales tax down to 3.5%. But there you run into a competitive factor that is difficult to overcome. Politics plays a very important and even constructive part. The people of Bayonne feel that if our enterprise zone gets a sales tax reduction through the enterprise zone here in Elizabeth, that is going to be totally unfair to the people of Bayonne. And as a result of the political muscle that the Hudson County politicians have in Trenton, I don't feel too confident that we're going to be able to get what we are looking for. But as far as discrimination, if there is any, I'd like to hear about it, and I'll certainly try to do something about it. But being in an urban enterprise zone is a big plus for any urban city.
Thank you. We'll now have the second round of questioning of the candidates for Elizabeth mayor positions, and we'll start with Mr. Sayegh.
Thank you. Councilman Jaspan, during a recent city council meeting, a vote was held on an ordinance which would have based rents in the city of Elizabeth on a sliding scale. Originally, you supported that ordinance, but in the final session, you decided to sustain the mayor's veto, going against what you had previously said. That had prompted your opponent, Councilman Bollwage, to accuse you of wavering on the issue. And I guess what I'm asking is, can you defend your decision and tell us what prompted you to change your mind on that one particular item?
I have always been supportive of rent control. I think rent control is very important for the tenants of Elizabeth. At the first city council meeting a couple months ago, when the rent control issue came up, I asked my colleagues to support me in tabling the motion or to extending rent control until the end of the year. I did not have enough support in my request, and we proceeded to go along with introducing a rent control. There were several propositions put before us. One was introduced by Councilwoman Brown, which allowed for a 2.5% rent increase across the board. Another proposal was a sliding scale, which started from 5% to 1%. I thought at that time it was the better ordinance of the two, and I supported that. And in the next two meetings, I also thought that it was the best thing that was on the table, but always I had reluctance in the proposal that was before us. I had reluctance because I think it was a unfair position to put people in that could least afford the increase of 5%. And it was allowing for a 1% increase on apartments over a $750 amount. The 5% was going to be put on to tenants under a $300 rent. And again, those are the people that I felt could least afford it. So I did take a position where, after talking to many tenants, also spoke to property owners, I had calls from tenants very upset by the ordinance. And I took a position that I feel that we should go back to the drawing board and come up with a better rent control ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Gluck?
Mr. Ismail, according to the State Law Enforcement Commission, your campaign has not filed any of the reports that were due now 10 days ago detailing campaign contributions and expenses. Now, also given the fact that it was your United Youth Council that ran into trouble with the state a few years ago for failure to file the necessary financial forms, what does this say about how you, if elected mayor, would oversee city finances?
First of all, I don't know when you talked to the people from the state.
Today.
And I also spoke to them today, and I'm filing the A1 form, which is money that's raised under $2,000. I believe that the people, I don't believe in heavily financing a campaign to sacrifice other things that need to be monies raised for. And that is for the continuing work of my organization have continued to do to deal with the issues of African American, Latino, and poor people. And I made that decision to file an A1 form, and I also share that information with people of the state. It wasn't no carelessness on our part. It was just a decision that we made, and we share that information with the state. Any other questions on that?
And how do you think, and going back to the state's problems with forms with the United Youth Council, what impression do you think this will have on city voters as to how you would oversee city finances?
I think, first of all, the city is not ran by just one individual alone. I think the city is ran by a collective effort of people that you bring into that administration to help run that city, and that includes on the economic level, as housing and others, and that's my intention. I felt, and we felt, and we have tons of lawyers. I have more lawyers watching this campaign than all the other issues that we're involved with. So we move in very carefully, so any kind of mishap won't all of a sudden occur that may cause any kind of reflection in the voting on June 2nd. So we feel we're doing the right thing, and again, I say that we are, and like I said then, when that issue came up back in a couple of years ago about the United Youth Council, it was just so sudden that it came on the brink of the pharmacy issue, where we had filed a lawsuit against a pharmacy at that time had done something unjust to the people of the city, and that is to put an anti-black sign in the window, and that's when that issue came up then.
I think we're going to have to conclude